My name is Rodrigo Blanco. I came from Caracas, Venezuela. I'm a writer, professor, and publisher. The best thing is that through my writing, I can try to make a little bit of sense in the craziness that the Venezuelan people live every single day. And it's a way also to remind certain stories that people tend to forget. The worst thing is that I don't really think that what I write can change anything. And that's the tension between trying to build a novel, a short story collection, and see that the reality has its own way to develop. But I really love teaching and talk about literature with young students. I think it's a better way to continue the reading in a collective way. And as a publisher, I think my work is trying to edit and publish some books that I find very interesting for the people, and try to refresh our memory of the Venezuelan literature. I think the only good thing about this period is that we are still alive and we are still trying to make an effort for work and trying to not get evil and violent and not to sell ourselves to the government or to the other political forces. And I think that's the most important. And I think right now there are happening really good things in Venezuela as a way to resist the political power. I don't know. It's a really difficult question because for me it's something natural. No? I think I heard one or several voices in my head, and I try to put them out through the writing and transform them into short stories or novels. But I also think that for me it's a way to keep alive the literature and some traditions that I consider important, because I think literature is always about literature. It's a way to keep the literature alive through different books. I definitely have to recommend one novel very important in my country, but is really unknown beyond Venezuela. It's Piedra de Mar by Francisco Massiani. It's like our Venezuelan version of the Catcher in the Rye by Salinger. Piedra de Mar is a book first published in 1968, and you can read it now and still have that flavor, have intensity of being a young man who trying to become a writer. Yeah. I think I think you cannot be a really good writer, even if you are a fiction writer, without the poetry. The poetry gives meaning to every single word, every single sentence. You can spoil the imagination of the reader with only a single word, well used and well thought, and not just with a big, a complicated plot with so many characters. So I think it's very important for me to read poetry.
Who's your favorite poet?
José Antonio Ramos Sucre, a Venezuelan poet, the best Venezuelan poet. And it's really a mystery, his life and his work. And actually, a year ago, an anthology of his work was translated in English with Guillermo Parra, is the translator. I think the state has to support the writers and the literature, because there are certain things that the private institutions and some people cannot afford, like a collection of classic authors, like this experience on the IWP, like trying to represent the literature's country outside. That's only you can do it with the state support, but also it has to be like a balance. In Venezuela, through many years, the writers get used to live a coast of the state, and that's not a good thing. I'm really surprised with Iowa City in the way that everything works. Everything works, and for me, as a Latin American writer or just Latin American person, it's really exotic. And I'm really surprised with the rabbits.
With the what?
Rabbits, they are all over the place and no one is hunting them. And I'm really surprised also by the river. The river actually changed the direction and no one believes me. And it's like a small town with very important things of the big cities. And it gives the writer the calm to think, read, and write. Actually, I prefer not to be asked about my work, because I have the feeling that I'm always lying or I'm always saying something that is not actually what I want to say, because the writing process is still too mysterious to me. And I get a point where I really don't know much about my own work. I publish a book and I forget it and go to the next one. Thank you.